They bombed Earth. How cute, now watch humanity strike back. Supreme Commander Vex Thalor of the Krell Imperium watched with satisfaction as the orbital bombardment pummeled the Earth's surface. The primitive planet's major cities erupted in blossoms of fire, visible even from his flagship's position in high orbit. Operation Decisive Subjugation was proceeding exactly according to the military algorithms that had served the Imperium through 1,000 successful conquests. First wave bombardment complete, Supreme Commander, reported Tactical Officer Draz. Target analysis indicates 78% of human military installations have been neutralized. Their global communications are in disarray. Excellent. Vex Thalor's forearms made the gesture of conquest certainty. Proceed with the second wave, targeting their secondary military assets and governmental structures. Supreme Commander interrupted Communications Officer Mira, her brow ridges furrowed with confusion. We're receiving a transmission from the humans. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, including several we didn't know they had access to. Put it on the main viewer, Vex Thalor ordered, curious about what pitiful surrender terms the humans might offer. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a human female, seated at what appeared to be a simple desk. Behind her, through a window, smoke could be seen rising from a damaged cityscape. Yet despite this, she appeared remarkably calm, almost. "Greetings, Krell Imperium forces," the woman said, her voice steady. "I am Dr. Eleanor Chen, appointed spokesperson for Earth's Unified Defense Council. We've noticed your recent bombardment of our planet." Vex Thalor's secondary hearts skipped a beat at the casual tone. Noticed? They had unleashed the most devastating initial strike in Krell military history. "You seem to be operating under several misconceptions," Dr. Chen continued, taking a sip from a mug as if she were discussing minor weather anomalies rather than planetary bombardment. "First, that your attack has disabled our military capabilities. Second, that we would be intimidated by such a display. And third, perhaps most critically, that we were unprepared for extraterrestrial contact of this nature." She smiled then, an expression that Krell xenopsychologists had identified as potentially indicating either friendliness or predatory anticipation. In this context, Vex Thalor suspected the latter. How? How are they still broadcasting? Tactical Officer Draz whispered. "We targeted all major communication hubs." "Allow me to clarify something," Dr. Chen continued. "What you've been bombing for the past 6 hours, that's not Earth. Well, not the real Earth anyway." The bridge of the Krell flagship went silent. "Approximately 70 years ago, humanity detected your scout vessels at the edge of our solar system. We've been monitoring your approach ever since. Your species isn't particularly subtle, and your encryption protocols are quaint." Dr. Chen's image was momentarily replaced by schematics of the Krell fleet, including internal layouts and tactical weaknesses that were supposed to be the Imperium's most closely guarded secrets. "Once we determined your hostile intentions, we began preparations. The Earth you've been bombing is essentially a decoy, a complex network of holographic projectors, sacrificial automated installations, and carefully designed thermal and electromagnetic signatures designed to mimic a pre-stellar civilization." Vex Thalor felt his exoskeleton grow cold with dread. "Verify this," he ordered his officers, who scrambled to perform deeper scans of the planet below. The actual Earth, and 99.7% of humanity, are currently residing approximately 0.2 light-years away in a dimensional pocket we created for exactly this scenario, Dr. Chen explained as casually as if describing vacation accommodations. "We left behind automated responses, minimal infrastructure, and a few volunteers like myself to monitor your attack and provide this courtesy call." "Supreme Commander," interrupted Sensor Officer Krall, panic evident in his voice. we're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the solar system. Something's happening to the asteroid belt, and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. They're moving, Dr. Chen finished for him. Or rather, revealing themselves. You see, we've had about 7 decades to prepare for this encounter. The main viewer automatically shifted to show the Krell fleet's tactical surroundings. What had appeared to be ordinary asteroids and moons were now shedding their outer layers, revealing massive weaponized installations and vessels that dwarfed even the Krell flagship. We've been a spacefaring civilization for quite some time, Dr. Chen continued. We simply chose not to advertise the fact. Your Imperium has a rather unpleasant reputation among the more established galactic communities that, incidentally, have been quite helpful in advising us on how to deal with your kind. Vex Thaler struggled to process what he was hearing. The Krell Imperium had encountered resistance before, certainly, but never deception on this scale. Never a civilization that had not only anticipated their attack, but had apparently rearranged their entire planet to create a convincing target. You have approximately 3 minutes before our countermeasures activate, Dr. Chen informed them, checking what appeared to be an antiquated wrist-mounted timepiece. That should give you enough time to recall any landing parties and prepare your propulsion systems. Countermeasures? Vex Thaler managed to ask, his voice barely audible even to himself. Nothing too dramatic, she replied with that unsettling smile. We're not monsters after all. Just a localized phase shift that will transport your fleet to a very remote corner of the galaxy, somewhere you can contemplate the wisdom of launching unprovoked attacks against species you haven't properly researched. Throughout the Krell fleet, alarms began blaring as the human installations activated, creating a complex energy web around the invading vessels. Vex Thaler barked orders for evasive maneuvers, but the human technology was operating on principles the Krell sensors couldn't even analyze properly, much less counter. Oh, and we're sending along a data package, Dr. Chen added, almost as an afterthought. It contains evidence of your unprovoked attack, along with your fleet specifications and tactical vulnerabilities. We're broadcasting it to every spacefaring civilization within 500 light-years. Consider it our way of introducing ourselves to the neighborhood. As the energy web tightened around his ship, Supreme Commander Vex Thaler realized the magnitude of the Imperium's miscalculation. They had approached Earth expecting to find a primitive civilization, ripe for conquest, the kind the Imperium had subjugated hundreds of times before. Instead, they had found a species that had not only detected them decades ago, but had orchestrated an elaborate deception on a planetary scale, all while developing defensive technologies that made the Krell military doctrine obsolete. The last thing Vex Thaler saw before the phase shift engulfed his flagship was Dr. Chen raising her mug in what human cultural data would later inform him was a toast, a gesture often used when celebrating victory.